So today we're making lasagna, and right now that's 2 pounds of mild Italian sausage, okay? Mild Italian sausage. We're also gonna put in a pound of lean ground beef and 12 ounces of bison, ground bison. So we're just gonna get this browned up and maybe add a little bit of Italian seasoning, but not too much. And then we'll go to the next step. Hey, we're back. So now we've added the pound of lean ground beef and the 12 ounces of ground bison. Okay, so here we are. We've got 2 pounds of Italian sausage and a pound of ground beef and 12 ounces of ground bison. When it comes to lasagna, I like the sauce to be meaty because it helps it stay thick. And when you have lasagna, you want a thick sauce. That's the key. So we'll be back for more when we add the next ingredient. Okay, now that we have got our meat and sausage browned up, we're gonna go ahead and start adding in some of the ingredients. Now, can of Rotel, I use mild because my daughters don't like, too spicy, but I do like my lasagna with a little kick. So this is just gonna provide some flavor and a tiny little bit of kick to your sauce to go in your lasagna. So we're gonna add that in while the meat continues to brown, and then 2 cans of Hunt's diced tomatoes, and I like the basil, garlic, and oregano pre-flavored. Again, it just adds to the whole Italian flavor, brings in more of that aroma that you really like to get from your sauce here. So 2 cans going in, and then we're just gonna mix that together with the meat and let that kind of simmer together. Get it simmering together. Let those juices work into the meats. Let those flavors intermingle. Just like that. We're gonna let that simmer for a bit, and then we're gonna be adding our tomato sauce and our tomato paste. And once we get that established, we'll put in one vegetable. We put in 1 bell pepper, green bell pepper, chopped. And that's gonna just kind of release some of their flavors too. And we'll put those in, and then we'll bring it to a boil, and we'll simmer it for 4 hours, okay? So, be back soon. Okay, time to add the sauce. We've got 2 29-ounce cans of Hunt's tomato sauce here. We're just gonna pour that right in. And don't worry about it if it's watery, or that's why we simmer it for 4 hours, is to cook that all down and make it thick. So we'll add the second can. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and stir this up. Again, just working it through. See how it looks watery? That's not a big deal. That water's from the 3 cans of diced tomatoes, the 1 can of Rotel, and the 2 cans of Hunt's diced tomatoes. That's all gonna boil off. That's all gonna evaporate off during the simmering process. So don't worry about that at the moment. The one thing we do need to do, however, is add 2 cans of small paste. So these little 6-ounce cans, we're gonna use 2 of them, and that's just to help thicken up the sauce itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those off camera because I need both hands, and then we will add the bell peppers, and we'll start seeing if we can get this to boil. So we've added that paste. It looks a little bit thicker. Now we'll get it to a boil, and we'll start getting those flavors simmering together, and then we'll simmer it for 4 hours to get it to thicken up. Okay, let's add those bell peppers. As you can see, I just chopped up 1 bell pepper into about 1/2 inch to 1 inch size squares. We're just gonna add that in. Again, this just gives the sauce a really good flavor. Don't need a lot because it's lasagna. And so just mix that in like that. And we are ready to bring this to a boil and start simmering. Let the countdown begin, about 4.5 hours. So one of the little tricks that I use is I keep around the Italian seasoning, and I also keep a tablespoon of sugar. So I will taste test the sauce after it's boiled and simmered for a while. And if it's just not quite the sweetness that I want, I'll go ahead and add a tablespoon of sugar. And all that does is just kind of sweeten it up a bit. You get the kick from the Rotel, and you get the sweetness from the sugar and the tomatoes, and it's just to counterbalance those flavors. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a tablespoon of sugar here. Just pour it right in and stir that in because I feel like it just needed a little bit sweeter flavor. So one of the little tips, tricks that you can do, not necessarily a part of the recipe, but something that can give your sauce that little something. Okay. Okay, it's about 4 hours later, and I've been able to get a workout in, take a shower, and do some other things, and come back. I've been stirring it occasionally while it's simmering, but just to show you the difference in consistency. That's what we're looking for right there. We want that sauce to be nice and thick because that's going to help the lasagna firm up and stay solid, so that when you go to cut it, it doesn't just spill out everywhere. Okay, so up next, while we finish letting this simmer for the last 30 minutes, is we're going to start boiling our lasagna noodles, and then we're going to create our cheese mixture for the layers, and then we'll start layering it up. Okay. Okay, so we got the noodles boiling. We got a sauce ready to go, and now we're going to make our cheese mixture. So I showed you the ingredients. I like to use 4 eggs instead of 2. The eggs will really help it set up, really firm it up. So let's take a look at this right now. We're gonna mix that up, get it mixed up nice and good to get ready to go in the lasagna. Noodles are done. See you back in a second for the assembly. All right, pro tip. You want to make sure that you spray down the lasagna noodles with some cold water because you don't want to handle them when they're piping hot. So before you start assembling, go ahead and spray them down with some really cold water. Just like that. And you might want to run it on there for a while, but for the video's sake, I'm just going to do it for a little while, for a little bit. And then what I like to do is I like to lay out a towel, okay? Lay out a towel just like this. That way you can lay the noodles out flat. You can lay them nice and flat, and then they're easy to grab as you go to assemble. We're going to start the assembly here in a second. Really simple, probably 3 or 4 layers, and those layers are going to include a layer of noodles, then meat sauce, then cheese mixture, and then a nice liberal amount of mozzarella cheese, and you just repeat that process 3 to 4 times. Okay, so we'll be back for that in just a second. Okay, we're ready for assembly. All right, so I've gone ahead and got my Pyrex baking dish, and I've already coated it with just a canola oil cooking spray, just so things don't stick. I've got my sauce ready here. My cheese mixture here, got a bag of mozzarella, and I like to sprinkle a little parmesan on each layer and parmesan across the top before I put it in the oven. Now let me show you real quick. We are preheating the oven to 350 degrees, so we're almost there. By the time we get done with assembly, we'll be ready to pop this thing in the oven. You're gonna put it into the oven for 45 minutes. All right, so assembly again, noodles, Meat sauce, cheese mixture, liberal with the mozzarella, a little sprinkle of parmesan, noodles, repeat, okay? Sauce, cheese, mozzarella, parmesan. Noodles, sauce, cheese. All right, you want to top it off with a good layer of mozzarella so the mozzarella on top is nice and thick. The cheese melting is going to cause it all to really get gooey and sticky, and that's good because you want your lasagna to be nice and firm and set up. And so we're going to do the assembly and we're going to pop this thing in the oven.